What would be the least terrifying monster movie or creature to move in next door to you?
That's a great question, Mark, but I feel like you need to sell it more. I feel like, paint the scene for us. The year is 1993.
It's a dark and stormy night.
Sit in your front yard. You look over and you see a U-Haul truck come back by your house, and out comes, insert your least scary horror monster right here.
Well, my version is it's Saturday morning and you're having to do your chores. You got to mow the lawn, but it's that push mower, the one without the gas, just the one with the blades. And then next to your house, it's been empty for 3 to 6 months. Then the U-Haul shows up, and then you see your creature. Did I sell it a little better? Is that good?
Oh, that's good. I'm ready to go. John, take us home, baby.
All right. What you got?
Well, I've always held that dolls are my least scary thing. So any of the doll creatures, get an Annabelle, a Chucky, I'd be like, all right. I mean, it sucks and, terrifying in the sense that they do successfully kill people somehow. But I would say that's the least terrifying for me.
So Chucky and Tiffany finally decide to settle down?
Yeah, any kind of Chucky.
Chester and Lucy Dahlman.
Exactly. I'd just be like, all right, I'm going to put you in a drawer.
I'm going to put you in a drawer. That'll stop them, John.
2.5 feet tall. I'm not worried about you, Chucky.
Oh my God.
Probably weigh 1.5 pounds. Like, I think I got this.
He puts rocks in his shoes just to weight him down a little bit for you.
You'd have to nail shut your doggy door, dude, because that thing would just get right in.
That's true.
That sounds terrifying. Come on, a little bit.
No, I mean, I acknowledge that, they would probably kill me because they do they're good at what they do. I just don't understand how. And so if I had a pick, that's what I would pick. I mean, like, the classics all seem horrible. I mean, I don't want to live next to a werewolf or a vampire. I mean, I can go through all the lists. Demons, ghosts, all that seemed way worse. Though maybe ghosts might beat dolls because ghosts are stuck to the house that they're haunting. So as long as I don't go into the house, I'll be fine.
I believe you mean ghosts?
Poltergeist, though, those would be terrible.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad. Well, since you entered the realm of the classics, I was going with the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Quasimodo. I think he'd just be that annoying neighbor who is like ringing the church bells when you're hungover the next morning. Like, ow, shut up, Quasi, I'm trying to sleep. I had 13 whiskeys last night. Or, if you leave your...
13 whiskeys?
That's just an example. You may or may not drink that many whiskeys. Your life is your own. You do what you want to do. But I'm saying that...
Mark's about to become a ghost.
Maybe you leave your fence open, he gets in and he eats all your chickens. Oh, Quasimodo, that's a bad hunchback. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just going to be more of an annoyance than really a terrifying creature.
Poor, misunderstood Quasimodo. I wouldn't even consider him a horror character. The real horror, I'm Team Quasi. The real horror is what happens to him.
Yeah, that's like an Elephant Man situation. Look around you. Are you not the monsters?
That's it. If you prick my hump, do I not bleed?
Oh my God. Oh, that's been in a porno somewhere.
Well, John, that just leads further into my belief that he wouldn't be that terrifying, right?
Fair. Okay.
Wow, I just didn't go quite that. I just went with Frankenstein because think about it. He's quiet. He just wants to be left alone, do his own thing. He's not making a lot of noise with church bells. He's not trying to hurt anybody. He's just doing his own little... And you know what? You give him cable, that dude's fine. You'll never hear from him. So I went with Frankenstein. Now, if I had my druthers, I would want werewolves to move in, though. That would be my preferred choice as far as, like, the coolest neighbors. But, for, like, least offensive, least scary, definitely Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's a great neighbor until you have your first barbecue or you use a fire pit, and then he freaks out and tears down your house.
We only smoke our foods, so... he'd never see it.
I think you're also going to run into some issues with the what's the local group that checks your like grass length and things like that. I feel like he would be a
HOA.
Yeah, he'd probably be a big HOA violator. I don't know. I just don't think he would keep up with his chores. Or something else that might happen is you might have a bunch of rioters show up with flaming torches and pitchforks, dude. That's going to be going on right next door.
That's only when he fucks with people, and he's not going to need to fuck with people. He's got cable. He's got a backyard. He's good to go.
I don't think he fucked with anybody in that original movie. He was just trying to chill, and he was misunderstood, much like our hunchback, and then he got fucked with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he interacted with people. He went out and got interact with people that were like, oh my God, look at this monster. He's going to be inside. He's going to be a homebody, man. He's got no reason to go out and about. He's got everything he needs with Amazon Prime now. He can order anything he wants. They can drop it off the doorstep with COVID protocols. There's contactless delivery. The man's got it. And you know what? Being the neighbor that I am, I would do his yard for him just to make sure the HOA stayed the fuck off Frankenstein's back. Because you know what? That dude, he's just doing him. And I respect that.
That's nice, man. So whenever Amazon misdelivers to your house and he drops off the ratchet to tighten his neck bolts, you're going to go drop it off for him?
Yeah, I'll give him a quick ring and I'll be like, yo, Frankie, man, I got your power tools. I'm coming over.
Hey, thank you. Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk Podcast. My name is Mark, again joined with Garrett and John. Fellas, how we doing today? We ready to kick this one out the house like a vampire who moved in and shouldn't be there?
Yes.
Well, okay, wait a second now. Who said the vampire shouldn't be there? He is the rightful owner of his home.
He did buy it fair and square.
Well, what if he's in your home? What if your mother invited him in for a Bloody Mary or two?
That's a really great question. In which case, yes, then I am ready to kick said vampire out.
Good.
Well, to be fair, the first rule is don't spy on your neighbors, and this won't even be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get to that. I have a big problem with that, but we'll get there. I've mentioned it several times in several other episodes. If you own a telescope or binoculars, you're by proxy a creep because you aren't using those to look at the stars.
It's true. Also, that house was like 10 feet away. You don't need binoculars to see what's going on in that window.
No, there was no yard between them. It was like bumped right up against the house. He just, buddy, you got glasses on? Can you not see the action, the steamy hot action right next door?
Do people, or did nobody in the 80s have curtains? Did they not invent curtains yet?
Oh, they did. They had them. They existed for a long time. It's just the 80s was a time of non-curtaining. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But that being said, that segues us into good evening. Tonight we are talking about Fright Night.
Did Peter Vincent just jump on our call?
Fright Night.
It is I, Peter Vincent, the vampire killer, here to join you on the GraveTalk Podcast.
Wow, Pete.
Yes. Well, before we get into that movie, Garrett, have you watched anything? John, have you watched anything new you want to bring up before we get into 1985's Fright Night?
I watched one movie. It's a Japanese film from 1999 called Audition.
Oh, I have that one. I haven't watched it yet, though.
Oh, it's rough.
Worth it?
It is. Wow, what a film. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to go into any details, but I thought I was hard and like ready for horror movies. I'd watched a ton of these, but I had to look away at points in this film. It is intense. So be prepared for that, Mark.
So this is one of the ones I picked up. If you guys pay attention to iTunes, they always have sales, and Arrow Videos movies go on sale for $3 like 3 times a month. I have like 57 Arrow movies that I haven't watched yet. That's just one of them in the queue there.
This one's also on Shudder.
Yeah, this is a Takashi Miike film. And if you're familiar with his work, to John's point, it is some rough shit. Sometimes it's a little hard to watch, but the dude does what he does.
Itchy the Killer, among others, he's really well known for.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, it shook John to his core, it sounds like. So I'm looking forward to that one. Now,
I didn't watch anything yet because I just recently got my Shudder account fixed. Thank you, customer service at Shudder, for helping with that. So I finally got my account back up. So now it is time to watch Amityville Horror 92. It's about time.
All right.
And review that for everybody. But I did have 2 questions for John. One, yesterday while perusing iTunes, I saw a movie called The Host with Anthony Hopkins, and it keeps popping up in the horror section, but it's about like the Vatican and exorcism. Have you seen that movie? No, The Rite. It's called The Rite. I'm sorry, it's The Rite.
I went to see The Rite, but walked out feeling wrong.
Oh.
I've seen this movie. I'm with Mark. It's a skip.
Okay. I was just curious because I saw it and I was all like, is that Anthony Hopkins in like a Exorcist movie? And I was like, I've got to find out if John's seen this.
It's set up to be amazing, but I just remember walking out of the theater feeling underwhelmed. So It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It just didn't really leave an impression.
And my second thing, it actually isn't a question, so I don't know why I said I had two questions for John. The second one is if you have not checked out John's The Conjuring Universe mini episode, definitely do so. I finally got to sit down and rewatch that. The first time I watched it, I was doing some other stuff and I was kind of distracted, but I sat down and rewatched that. That was really good, man.
Thank you.
I thought that was really solid, like from start to finish. And from what I've seen of that universe, I agree with your ordering. The only thing I would say is I think you went a little hard on The Nun. And I know we all hated The Nun, but I think The Nun, from a filmmaking standpoint, holds up a little bit better than maybe we give it credit for.
As someone who's seen The Nun 3 times now,
Oh, shit.
I assure you it doesn't.
Okay, I've seen it. I saw it the once at the theater. I guess I'm remembering it wrong.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, it's easy to remember, like, okay, it had some spooky visuals and a cool atmosphere, but if you watch it again, you'll be like, oh, right, this movie's trash and goes way off the rails pretty much immediately.
That labyrinthian ending just nailed the coffin of that one and buried it with no bells to ring. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, and the more you watch it, the more, like, the story is just riddled with plot holes. It's like a Swiss cheese film. So, it could have been so great, but it wasn't.
Well, that's fine. I'm yielding to your expertise on it. I just wanted to give a shout out and just say that was a really solid mini. So,
well, thank you.
Keep them coming if you got them, man.
All right. Well, if that's going to do it, let's get into today's movie by director Tom Holland. Fright Night from 1985. Tom Holland, also known for Child's Play.
Spider-Man?
Yes. Yes, you're right, John. So in my brain, this was a alternate universe Peter Parker, Tom Holland Spider-Man who went back in time into the 60s and then eventually came to grips with living in the past and then made his mark on the horror universe with Fright Night and Child's Play.
Makes sense.
That's the only thing that makes sense because there's no way in the world there would be two Tom Hollands. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Mark. He also did Thinner, which is, I think, a slept-on movie. I like Thinner. I rewatched it not that long ago, and it holds up.
That's the Stephen King one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I think of Thinner, though, I always get it mixed up with The Machinist, with dude from Batman.
Christian Bale being his thinnest in that movie. You're not wrong.
Yeah, so every time someone's like, oh, that movie Thinner by Stephen King, I'm always like, I immediately visualize Christian Bale from The Machinist, and I'm always like, I don't think that's the same movie.
It is not.
Also disturbing, though. That Machinist movie was pretty disturbing. All right. Well, this one, again, came out in 1985, stars Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandrige. He was also in Child's Play and The Princess Bride. William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster. He went on to do a bunch of TV. We got Amanda Bierce as Amy Peterson. She would go on to do Married with Children's Ms. Darcy, or just Marcy. Is it Marcy Darcy?
No, it's Darcy.
Marcy.
I thought it was Darcy.
No, M.
M. Okay. Marcy.
Marcy. Yeah, I think it was Marcy. Roddy McDowall playing his second Vincent. He voiced Vincent in The Black Hole. He's also known for his role as Cornelius in The Planet of the Apes. He plays Peter Vincent. We've got Stephen Jeffries as Evil Ed. He would go on to be in 976 Evil, which I think, John, you said you saw that one. I still haven't checked that one out yet. Jonathan Stark plays manservant Billy Cole. And we've got Dorothy Fielding as Judy Brewster. I did like the fact that Jonathan Stark would go on to be in The House 2, The Second Story, because that name makes me roll my eyes every time I read it.
Because it's incredible. It's an incredible name.
Well, one of Jerry Dandrige's Jerry Dandrige the Vampire. God, that name. One of his sidekicks was Chet from Weird Science. Did you guys notice that?
I thought Chet was played by Bill Paxton.
Oh, is it? Oh, man, am I a complete idiot and getting this wrong? Dude, he looked just like that guy.
He's pretty close, for sure. Since you brought up Weird Science, Garrett, the kid who plays Evil Ed, he auditioned to be Anthony Michael Hall's part in Weird Science. But his audition went all wrong, and then the casting director remembered him and then offered him the part in this movie afterwards.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And actually, yeah, you're right. It is not Chet from Weird Science, but that dude looks exactly like him. But no, honestly, I've got so much to say about Evil in this movie. That character makes this film.
Yes.
Okay, we may be at odds then, because I found him to be the most annoying part of the movie.
What? Mark.
Let me get all this stuff out of the way and we'll get into it, all right?
Okay.
Fright Night is sitting at a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes out of 37 reviews and a 77% with the audience out of 49,698 reviews. This one was shot on a $9 million budget and went to gross $24.9 million. It would produce a sequel afterwards. It wasn't really it wasn't released worldwide, and then the talks of the third one fizzled out, which I read was due to the Menendez murders back in the day. I guess the dad was involved with the studio that was funding those films.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty crazy. This is what the back of the Betamax has to say about Fright Night. Meet Jerry Dandrige. He's sweet, sexy, and he likes to sleep in late. You might think he's the perfect neighbor, but before inviting Jerry in for a nightcap, there's just one thing you should know. Jerry prefers his drinks warm, red, and straight from the jugular. It's Fright Night, a horrific howl starring Chris Sarandon as the seductive vampire and William Ragsdale as the frantic teenager struggling to keep Jerry's deadly fangs out of his neck. Only 17-year-old Charlie Brewster knows Jerry's blood-curdling secret. When Charlie can't get anybody to believe him, he turns to a TV horror host, Peter Vincent, played by Roddy McDowall, who used to be the great vampire killer of the movies. Can these mortals save Charlie and his sweetheart Amy from the wrathful bloodsucker's toothy embrace? If you love being scared, Fright Night will give you the nightmare of your life.
That's pretty good. I like that. It sells it, but it also like upsells it without like kind of, bogging you down into the hyperbole of like, oh my God, you're going to be terrified.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the better back of boxes that we've read on this show. Of course, it was on a Betamax. They knew what they were doing back then.
Yeah, that's a solid sell. I would rent that based on that. This one clocks in at an hour and 46 minutes. What did you guys think of the length? We're normally pretty harsh on the lengths of these things.
I'm going to continue my almost probably unbroken trend of saying, yeah, they could have cut some of this, especially near the end where I kept being like, really? Is this still going on? This same scene? They could have trimmed some of that.
Yeah, I think some of the dance scene in the club and then the lovemaking scene or the sex scene or the what have you between Jerry and Amy was a little bit... I don't know. I understand why it was there, but it was like, this is completely unnecessary to the plot. We get it. We don't even care about that aspect of it. We just want to see, our boy go in and get his lady back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this movie does one of the things a lot of 80s movies do where you're dealing with high schoolers. And again, we've got the older adult like preying on the young girl. And it's like, man, this just wasn't a problem back then, was it?
Yeah, that felt really weird. I was like, wait, is she supposed to be like 16? What is happening?
They're in high school, dude.
Yeah, that was super uncomfortable.
Yeah, she clearly rides her bike from one end of town through the dregs of downtown with all the worst alleyways you could find to get to Charlie's house. That girl should have taken the bus. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, This is a continuing trend here that I guess just wasn't even thought about back then. I don't ever remember hearing it come up. I mean, I was like 5, so I probably wouldn't have.
I mean, that was a pretty common thing with like a lot of like vampire lore and stuff like that, even before the 80s movies of like, like the older vampire, like kind of going after and lusting after like the young, beautiful woman. So I don't know if that's an 80s thing, but it definitely was very prevalent in the 80s.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk then about the characters then. We've got Peter Vincent, who is your Vincent Price-esque character, who's kind of a washed-up actor. He was a lot of low-budget films, and at this point in his career, he's doing local TV, being a horror host. Think Elvira, think Zachary or Svengoolie, one of those people, or even a Joe Bob type characters who's introducing all these films. But I got the impression that he's only introducing his own films. Is that right? Because he gets canned because he keeps showing the same vampire movies. Like, is he just promoting his own work on cable TV?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was just replaying his own filmography over and over again.
It's like, well, dog, you're gonna get fired if you gotta change it up. People are gonna stop tuning in when we watch Vampire Killer 13 for the 37th time.
Hey, the fans know what they want. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I absolutely love Roddy McDowall in this role. I think he brings a lot of gravitas to the character, and he does a really good job of playing a guy who thinks he can act, but it's that classically bad acting style that ho, come at me, monster, that shit.
Yeah.
I think he just nails it.
You mean kind of like my vampire intro I did earlier? Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, just like that. He also looks like he's covered in baby powder throughout the whole film.
Yeah, okay. I thought that I was like, wow, he is weirdly pale. And like, I couldn't figure out what it was, but maybe that's it. Maybe he just likes to, throw some baby powder on every morning.
He gets rashes really easily.
It's garlic powder, you guys. That's how he keeps the vampires away.
It just needs a light dusting every morning.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's a garlic powder. He goes to the kitchen and sprinkles himself in garlic powder every morning.
You cracked the code.
I know, I did.
Wait, did you just say I did? Motherfucker, I just said that.
Mark, the credit stealer.
Mark's like, did you guys know I was in The Godfather? That was all me, baby.
Look, I'm not afraid to ape stuff. When I like something, I take it. I add it to the repertoire, all right?
I think he did a great job in this role as well. To your point, Mark, he did. I think acting bad, like a good actor acting bad, is probably really hard to do without coming across like cheesy or dumb, and he managed to nail it. So I was impressed considering the quality of some of the other acting in this film.
Yeah, and especially when he like turns off that persona that he's playing, the Peter Vincent character, like, and actually starts playing the guy who's now scared because he realizes that the vampires were real and stuff like that. That contrast between his bad acting versus like how he normally acts in the movie, I thought was really well done too. He switches it up like on a dime, and it was like so great to see him like drop that shtick and then kind of like fall right into like just being a really good actor for the film itself.
Agreed. And it really amps it up when you consider this role was originally written for Vincent Price, but he was turning down roles at this point because he becomes so typecasted that he didn't want to do this kind of stuff anymore. His name is actually a mashup of Peter Cushing, who most people know him from Star Wars as Grand Moff Tarkin. Peter did a lot of vampire movies and stuff in the old days. And then, of course, Vincent Price. So you get Peter Vincent.
Well, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
Okay, so go ahead and make your pitch why apparently Evil Ed is the glue of this movie. I want to hear it.
Okay. Strap in, listeners, because it's about to get real. Okay, so this is the thing about Ed's character, or Evil, if you will. Yes, he's over the top, and yes, he is definitely like, not so much the comic relief, but his character is played very, comedic in the fact that it's like very exaggerated, very over the top, almost kind of like ridiculous in his nature. But the thing is, when you look at the character and how he like responds, not just acts, but like how he mentally comprehends the situations around him and how he responds to them. He never breaks that. So this is not just a like, oh, I'm going to be wacky with it. Like, this is how this character lives and breathes day to day. Ed just, he never drops that. From start to finish, it seems like he's just enjoying his life. Now, he's got his problems. He's a very tragic character in the grand scheme of things. But he never breaks from his character this entire film. And every time he does pop a little zany onto anything, it's more just like whipped cream on top of a sundae. It's never so much that it makes you not want to eat. And sometimes it is like, oh man, he is really into this, or man, he is really out there. That's crazy. But it's never like he's never out there or crazy or, ridiculous to a degree that does not make sense for his character. So I thought that was great. And then when he does actually react, it's a complete like wonderful like black and white to what our main like kind of bland characters are like, oh my God, that's so terrible, or I can't believe someone would be a vampire. And he's just like, no, I get it. That's cool. They're going to go through this whole town and eat everything. No loss. Awesome. It just makes sense. And from start to finish, even his like death scene when he hams it up, which I have a lot of questions about that death scene, but he just never drops it. And I gotta respect that. And all his one-liners, all his like little like, moments when he goes and meets Peter Vincent by himself and gets burned by the cross. That was just so good because it like you could feel that that's exactly what that character would do. If even if there wasn't a camera in place, that's exactly what that character would do. And I thought he did an amazing job with it.
So that is a well-reasoned, well-thought-out defense of evil. Mark, my reasoning is just that he says the best line of the film, right? "You're so cool, Brewster," or whatever, however he says it. I cannot do an Ed accent, but that was it. I was like, all right, I'm in love with this character.
Are you talking about the time that ends this movie? He says it twice, right?
Yeah, I think at least twice, maybe 3 times. And honestly, I wish he said it 3 more times.
"Oh, you're so cool, Brewster." I can't stand it.
If that was all he said, I'd probably like him more. And Garrett, everything you said isn't wrong. I think he does a very good job of portraying that character. But to me, he just comes off as that third wheel, the fifth wheel, the 18th, 19th wheel of a group of friends who just doesn't know quite how to react. And everything he says is off and weird. And like, he just sticks out. So every time he would say something, I'm just like, what? Why is that good? And then like when he was being an asshole down the alleyway, it's like, well, bro, now I don't really feel that bad for you because I don't even know, is Charlie and Ed friends, or he literally just went to Ed because he's the weirdest kid in school who knows about this stuff, about horror and vampires?
I think there's a little friendship there.
Yeah, it's ill-defined, I would say. They're obviously not strangers. I think maybe, Ed would call Charlie his best friend, but I don't know that Charlie would call Ed his best friend. That's my guess.
I don't even know if Ed would call Charlie his best friend. I don't know if Ed sees things as, this is my best friend. I think Ed just sees things as, this is the person or situation I'm interacting with at this time. Like he's just doing him to such a degree that when he says things, like you said, Mark, that seem like awkward, or when he does that gag in the alleyway with the fake, the ketchup packets and stuff like that, I don't think he sees that as being a dick or even being nice. I just think he sees that as like, this would be a funny thing for me to do. I think he's probably on the spectrum of some degree here, but like, everything he does, it's not like malicious or from a place of like kindness. Even when Charlie goes to Ed and basically says, "Hey man, how do I fight a vampire?" He's not like, like, "Oh, well, because we're buds, let me tell you." He's just like, what do you, like, there's no, I don't know. It just seems like there's no malicious or, like caring intent between anything he does. And it's more just like, he's just rolling through life.
I appreciate your argument for him, and that does soften him up a little bit in my eyes. But I think what I was expecting, and maybe that's on me, I was expecting more of the sidekick character of, say, like Night of the Creeps. He's still a little awkward, but you like him. There wasn't a lot to like about Ed, I guess. Does that make sense?
That's what's so tragic about Ed is like, like when they're talking about the murders on TV.
You know what I heard on the police band last night? That wasn't the only murder. The second in 2 days. And get this. Both of them had their heads chopped off. Can you believe it? You're sick.
Like, yeah, that's kind of fucked up and like completely out of place right now. That's inappropriate at this time. But like for him, that's just how he sees it and responds. Later on, when he gets the opportunity to become a vampire, like it plays to his sense of like never belonging, not feeling like he ever is appropriate in any situation. I don't know. It really kind of like pulls that like that outsider kind of feeling that he probably has day to day, like just living his life. It really like kind of preys on that and allows him access to it, because when he becomes a vampire, dude, look how happy and stoked he is to basically like have those powers, that situation, to feel like he belongs to something. And then to see it also like kind of turned against him so quickly with when Peter, Vincent like hits the cross on his head. He reverts back to this like kind of lost puppy kind of, persona. And it, again, everything about that character, I'm not saying he's super likable. I don't think anyone's going to be like, yo, I love that character because like he's the best. I think it's just like, he's such a great, tragic, defined character in this movie that I was like, oh man, I really felt for him every step of the way.
I wonder how much of this character was a reflection of maybe Tom Holland's perception of the average horror fan in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like coming off as kind of the weird kid in class who's into horror movies, doesn't really know how to maybe be socially correct in a lot of instances. Maybe that's kind of the driving line behind this character.
That's a great call out, because I wonder, because in the 80s, horror, that's where horror kind of really took root as being more mainstream, if I remember correctly, right?
I think that's when it really amped up and it got like fandom. I mean, of course, I wasn't alive in the 70s, so I can't say that for certain, but it seems like it was amplified for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. That may very well be a representation of kind of like the mindset and the feel of, what it was like to be a horror fan back then. Who knows?
And speaking of that, let's talk about Charlie. He's our main protagonist, our average Joe. He's in a relationship with Amy, and they're apparently been doing a lot of necking while the Night Fright... What did I just say?
Night Fright.
When Fright Night is airing on like Friday nights or whatever. And that's how this movie kicks off, actually, is like we're seeing a Peter Vincent movie, and we're hearing the most over-the-top smooching, necking sounds that I've ever heard in a movie.
Charlie confuses me because as someone who was a teenage boy, I don't believe his actions are representative of what a teenage boy would do in said situations that he is in. He is very quick to stop making out with his girlfriend, to look out the window at strangers for no reason. Just not buying it.
No, especially when he's been so gung-ho just minutes before and gets upset. It's like, Amy, we've been playing it safe for a year. When's it going to be my time? Gah!
Yeah, and then she's like, all right, I'm DTF. And he's like, shh, I'm looking out the window.
Well, John, I'm glad to hear that you were at once a teenage boy, because, Mark, I would also assume that at some point in your life you were a teenage boy as well. And I myself, from personal experience, can say that I also was a teenage boy at one point. And I can say, as someone who had no game, missed all the signs, was just completely a dud with the ladies for the longest time, I can tell you this: if presented with the situation that he was in, I would not have turned away. Like, the thing is like, up to that point, I may have missed the signs, but once you're at that point, there's no like misreading the situation. Especially after you said, Mark, he totally like peer pressure, like guilt trips her into actually wanting to do something. So it's like,
yeah,
at the moment he gets his way, he's like, cool, I exerted my power, I'm out. And it's like, that's so weird.
There wasn't even like signs. She was like, Charlie, all right, I'm down to make love. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
She was like so upfront about it, and my man could not have cared less all of a sudden.
No, the teenager brain is so coated in hormones that there are certain words and phrases and pheromones that would just, waft over his shoulder and be like, there's a shirtless girl behind me, isn't there? Like, you would just immediately turn. Like, there's no possible way. I don't care if the next door neighbors are carrying a coffin downstairs.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be alert and ready to go.
That's when you go, come here, baby, let's fuck in the windowsill.
Yeah, maybe he'd be like, I'm gonna have to check that out later, and like file it away. But like, it just totally engrossed every amount of attention he had. They could have probably come up with a better intro.
That was such a weird moment, because it was like, you're right. The moment he gets what he wants, he's like, I'm good. And you're just like, I don't think that's what would happen.
Right. And then she immediately gets pissed off, which I get. All of a sudden, like, she's like, here I am. Mm-hmm. And then like, oh, what's going on out there? Complete diss. And then she like leaves the house angry. And I guess her mom is like, whatever.
Here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours.
I mean, right from her perspective, poor Marcy, she is like putting herself out there, and her boyfriend would rather look at nothing than her.
That's got to be a blow to the self-esteem.
John, let's go ahead and call her Amy from now on, because listeners might get confused if we keep calling her by her Married with Children name, Marcy.
In my mind, this is Marcy's prequel. This is her story.
Yeah.
I thought that too.
So, but fine. I will call her Amy.
You might as well, because she didn't return for the sequel because she was doing Married with Children at that point.
Yeah, she grew up, married Steve, and went on and lived an unhappy life.
But so this scene, though, leads way to one of my favorite 80s horror movie moments ever. Like, they're walking downstairs, like Amy leaves the room like in a huff, and then Charlie follows like, oh, Amy, wait, don't go. And she's like, they're on the stairs. They're almost at the bottom of the stairs. She's like, look, Charlie, I was ready to fuck you upstairs, and all you want to do is look out the window, blah, blah, blah. I'm right here. I was half naked. And then the mom goes, hi, kids, problems? And it was like, no parent has ever been like, oh, it's just my child having a conversation about fucking up in their bedroom and been like, I'm cool with this. Like, it was the weirdest moment.
Yeah, that mom, man, she is an interesting character. Like, later, Charlie's like, I was having a nightmare. And she's like, oh, do you want a Valium? I'm like, damn, lady.
This is the parent I dreamed of having when I was a kid. The strictness. Couldn't watch rated R movies. Couldn't watch PG-13 until I was 13.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you would live under this mother. I would probably have died on crack cocaine and heroin by 7.
Well, not only that, there's a point when like the new neighbor moves in. We'll get to that, you know, and then a prostitute, a very sexy woman, gets out of a car and goes, "Is this such and such house?" And he goes, "No, that's next door." They walk in and the mom goes like, "Oh, the new neighbor has like a handyman. He's probably gay." And then the son goes, "I wouldn't be so sure about that." And she's like, "What do you know that I don't?" Like, she's immediately like, "Tell me everything I need to know to get fucked here." And you're just like, God, calm down, mom.
Yeah, they had that was such a weird but cool character.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of parallel there between this mother and the mother from Lost Boys, the single mother, you know, out to find somebody. This one has a bit of a more loose approach, I suppose.
Look, every character in this movie knows what they want and they know what they're going after. Except Charlie.
Yeah.
Except Charlie. He wavers so much. He doesn't really like commit to anything until after like he's like, I guess I got to do this now.
Yeah, I mean, I really have like a lot of questions about Charlie's motivation. Like, why is he so obsessed with killing this vampire? I mean, I get it because like he murders and he's a murderer. Eventually they have a confrontation, right? And the vampire is like, "Look, if you just leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. What do you say, deal?" Charlie's like, "No, I'm not taking that deal." But it's like, dude, he can kill you and your mom and everyone you love. Like, how about you just say yes and move on with your life? But no, Charlie is a man on a mission.
I feel like presented in that moment, I would have taken the deal, especially not knowing, and we'll get to Jerry Dandrige in just a minute.
Jerry Dandrige.
Not knowing much about him, I would have been scared out of my mind if, you know, he approached me like that and be like, "All right, fucking deal, bro. I got a vampire buddy now. Hey, man, you know, like, come on over for fruit because you fucking eat the shit out of some fruit. I got a whole cornucopia back here, buddy. We're best friends."
I got 2 things to say about that. Number one, even if you're not going to keep that deal long term and you're just saying it to like, you know, like be okay for the time being, don't basically like to his face. He was like, "No, fuck you. I'm coming for you." And it's like, he like tells him flat out like, "Nope." And it's like, no, at least say yes and then go figure out a plan to like, you know, get the vampire later. But
right.
He's not even smart enough to do that. The second thing is I was reading the reason Chris Sarandon, he made that choice himself to eat so much fruit because he said that his bat version was probably part fruit bat.
All right. Interesting.
I accept it and I like it. You know what I mean? I'm into that. Do it. Do your thing. Eat some fruit and drink your blood. Why not?
But yeah, no. And also this movie incorporates something that, John, I thought you'd be interested to know. It incorporates bat vision. Now, let me put the distinction here. I do not find bat vision as annoying as monster vision.
Interesting distinction. I just assumed it was all monster vision.
Yeah, I don't. For some reason, when it's a bat, when we're flying as a bat, it never bothers me. When we're flying as the Lost Boys, it does not bother me. It's the moment we go into like weird, I guess it's the tint that they use on the screen of like, you know, the weird, like you're seeing through the monster's eye type thing. I think that's what bothers me the most because, in Tremors, I didn't have a problem too much in Tremors because, I guess it's when they do something like color or distortion wise on the camera to make it like we're in monster vision. I guess that's what it is for me. I realized that while watching this movie, I was all like, I don't mind this.
Okay, so not so much anti-monster vision, anti-tint.
Yeah, yes, I'm anti-tinting the screen of any kind.
Certain colors make Garrett angry.
That does remind me somehow, but we forgot to talk about the most important part of this movie before we get to the plot, and that is, does the soundtrack slap?
Oh, you're going to go right to my fucking crux of this goddamn movie, John. Okay. You say your bit and I'll say mine.
Wait, the soundtrack is the crux of the movie for you? Okay. Well, yes.
Okay, maybe not the crux, but it made me very upset, and I'll tell you why.
What? Oh, this soundtrack slaps, man. I was digging it.
There you have it, folks. The soundtrack slaps. All right, Mark. Counterpoint.
Now, John, did you sit through the ending credits where we got the titular Fright Night theme song?
No. Because I'm a bad movie watcher, as soon as credits start, I stop watching the movie.
Okay, well, this theme song is so fucking bad. It sent me on a 30-minute YouTube Wikipedia hole where I was like, who did this and who's responsible for this? The theme song was written, and I'm going to say this in quotation, the composition was written by a man named Joe Lamont, who basically has a third grade writing level. Here are the lyrics to this. Who's it gonna be tonight? Time to lock your windows tight. Soon we'll all believe I'm right. Who's it gonna be tonight? Woo! We're in for the most frightening night. And that is Trash.
Fright Night, who's it gonna be tonight? Lock your doors and windows tight. Soon we'll all believe I'm right. We're all in for almost frightening night.
I wrote better things in 6th grade.
What more do you need in a chorus? And I assume, based on the rest of the music, it had a real cool synthy backing track to it.
Well, John, are you familiar with the band, the Jay Giles Band?
The Jay Giles Band.
I'm sorry, the Jay Giles Band. They're famous for that song Centerfold and Freeze Frame.
No. Is anybody?
These are all pretty big hits. This is the band that performed this.
Okay.
Only their lead singer left the band before the last album, and this track was the last thing this band produced before they broke up with a new singer.
Wow.
Now, are you implying this track is what broke the band up?
Probably, yes. I think it's directly responsible. As for Joe Lamont, he would go on to make a couple more probably shitty songs that appeared in one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I believe the 3rd or 4th one, and then he would actually get a big hit in the Philippines. So I guess I'm so flustered right now because of this song. I can't believe, okay, everything else slaps, this song does not, okay? Can we agree to that?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm going to go ahead and pre-agree to that. The music in the film slaps. I did not get to the credits. I definitely didn't get to the end of the credits. Now, do you think, Mark, they knew this song sucked, and that's why they hid it away as the last song in the credits?
I'll answer that. The answer is yes. It's the same thing they did with that movie, My Mom is a Werewolf, and they had that song, You Bring Out the Werewolf in Me. Holy shit. Now that is a terrible during the credits song. Listen to that shit at some point and then just be thankful that you avoided that fucking career. No offense to that person who wrote it, because I don't know you personally, but that I understand, Mark, because that song did the same thing for me that this song did for you, and it almost ruined the entire film for me.
Okay. At least you can empathize with my position. All right. Music rant over. We can go back to the film. So just to kind of catch us up, Charlie is necking in his bedroom. The neighbors move in, and we see people bring a coffin in through the outside cellar doors. Charlie's all tripped up on it, and he's now laser focused in, and he's ignoring his girlfriend. And it's next day in the school, and Amy's like, I feel like Amy's willing to go ahead and let's get over this and keep moving. But then the news, I don't know. Did you guys have televisions in your cafeteria? Because I sure as hell didn't.
Nope.
But it's playing the news on there, and they find out there's murders happening.
Nope, never had that.
Yeah. Also, even if we did, there's no way cafeterias would have been quiet enough to hear what was being said on the TV, short of being right underneath it. You're having minimum 100 teenagers in one room. It's going to be so loud. So points off for realism, Fright Night.
And they're not going to have it on CNN either.
Yeah, that's true too. No cable. They're going to have local in-school news probably.
Right. Yeah, it'd be the student council. Today we're having mystery meat, so don't eat it. You know, that would be on the TV.
Mark, I want to take a moment real quick just to pull us back for just a second, because I know you had a big problem with the soundtrack, and John thought it slapped. Now, did you know the composer for this movie was the same guy that did the Terminator movies?
I did not.
No.
Yeah, Brad Fiedel. Yeah, and the reason he was, Tom Holland liked what Brad Fiedel did so much with the Terminator movie that he wanted him on this movie to compose the soundtrack for it.
Look at that. I'm glad to see this man's career is so solid because he knows how to make soundtracks that slap.
Should let him do the theme song. Do Fright Night.
Oh.
Do Fright Night.
I would bang that in my car so loud, dude.
That is the crossover. Girl Talk, get on that.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, so Amy clearly is still upset because Charlie's paying her no mind. He's still got his head wrapped into this coffin murder scenario he's got playing out in his brain. So she's pissed off. He goes home, and as mentioned, he sees this hot blonde roll up in a taxi cab, and he directs her to her death. Says, over there is where you're going to get killed. I'll see you later tonight through my window when I'm creeping on you. And she's like, thank you. And he goes about his business. He's doing homework. And then he looks outside the window, and then we get old Carlito is getting himself a peep show. And he's not too upset about it either. He's got a grin on his face.
I mean, it was the 80s. What are you going to do?
As we discussed, they hadn't invented curtains yet. So what else was he going to do?
Well, they did, because at one point when Jerry Dandrige the vampire, I'm going to keep calling him Jerry Dandrige because that is the stupidest fucking name for an old ass vampire, sees him that he's peeping through the window with fucking binoculars. He goes and pulls the blinds down. Now, first off, the woman who is getting like necked on, about to get eaten and stuff like that, looks out the window at one point, and I swear to God, she saw Charlie and was like, yeah, I'm cool with this. And then later on, when Jerry like sees it, that's when he goes and closes the blind. But holy shit, yeah, that was so weird because Charlie's just like full on. He's not even backing up. He's not in the shadows. He's just right in the window, just like with binoculars 10 feet away.
Yeah, it's safe to say Charlie's the worst peeping Tom ever. He is real shit at it. He may as well be wearing like a fluorescent vest, like the traffic vest. He just seems to want to be caught.
With the lit up batons. Hey, over here, check me out.
Exactly. Just spying over here.
Yeah. Well, as this is unfolding, he realizes that this guy's a vampire. Jerry Dandrige, his neighbor, he's got long, creepy fingernails. He busts out the teeth, and he bites the neck of this woman, and he just locks eyes with Charlie. He's like, okay, you know what's going on. I'm going to have to deal with you later.
So, legit question, is claw fingers a vampire trait, or did they make that up for this movie? Because I feel like I don't remember claws being a big vampire thing.
Nosferatu had that.
Oh, that's true. Okay. I see the homage.
Let's take a moment to, because you guys know vampires are probably my least favorite classic monster. But this movie, I thought, did an amazing job of hitting all the known vampire lore. Like every aspect of it was present in this movie. We had the glamourine, we had the the flight, the bat, we had the stake. It was turning into a familiar, which I didn't realize was a vampire thing until I did some research, because I was like, why the fuck does evil turn into a werewolf at one point? But then I found out that's something vampires can do too. They can turn into like creatures of the night.
Yeah, so let's talk about Jerry Dandrige. Now that we've gotten to Jerry Dandrige, let's open it up to Jerry Dandrige Hour. And let's see. We'll rate his powers. We'll determine on a scale of Renfield from Dead and Loving It to the vampires in 30 Days a Night, where does Jerry Dandrige rate on the vampire meter?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I want to start by saying I am glad they didn't skip out on the bat thing. That so often happens in vampire movies where they can't figure out the whole, how do we make him be a bat? This movie just totally went with it. They're like, he's going to be a bat. That's how we're going to do it. And I respect that.
Right. So Jerry's he's super strong, right? We see him throw Charlie through his closet. He's got the shape-shifting of his appearance, right? So he looks human, and then he'll do that thing where he looks more gross as I guess he releases his concentration or something, right? I don't know, because he gets stabbed in the hand, and then all of a sudden he looks nasty. I assumed he's having to control that.
I agree.
He can float. He can also float in his human form. He's got cool red eyes. As Garrett said, his glamour. I called it the smarm charm because, dude, he's smarming it up every time he's doing this weird glamour effect. And then, yeah, like Garrett said, he turns in evil, ends up turning into a werewolf, which I just assume suburbanite Jerry Dandrige would also be able to do since he made evil. Are we missing anything, or did that wrap in all the vampire powers you can think of?
Well, I'm going to get technical with you here. He doesn't turn into a werewolf. He just turns into a wolf. Now, there's a very big distinction between the two, because, again, once I found this out was an actual vampire power, I was like, this is bullshit. You can't just give the vampires all the powers of the other monsters just to try to make them better. That's fucking garbage. So I did a little research, and they can actually turn into two small creatures of the night, but they're not actually like beholden to the werewolf, like the moon turns them into, the full moon turns them in. So there's rules for each one, and they can't actually turn into like a full-size werewolf monster. They just turn into a wolf. is what I was reading. So just to throw that nitpick thing in there.
Just I guess the only other instance that I am aware of a vampire turning into a wolf would actually be from Castlevania's Symphony of the Night. Alucard, son of Dracula, can turn into a wolf at some point. So it wasn't that off. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I guess that's a thing. And I just kind of accepted it.
That's cool. Now, one thing that happens in this movie a lot that drives me crazy about vampires, and it's, I get it, it's effective, but it's so cheap for me now and so cheesy, is when a vampire picks someone up by the neck and lifts them up in the air and then has a conversation with them. I'm like, we get it. You're strong. Like, you don't have to. The throat hold up in the air is like so, I don't know. I'm so tired of it. I can take or leave that at this point.
I have a gazillion questions about the logistics of holding someone up by their throat with one hand. And if I imagine that would cause significant long-term injury. I don't think your neck's meant to hold your weight. Everyone just bounces back from that with breath being the only damage. But consider this. I mean, now, this could be just because I'm getting old, but I have one bad night of sleep and my neck hurts for like a week and a half. Getting held up by my neck, I imagine I would never be able to turn my head again.
What you don't know is John is actually talking about this right now while drinking a Sustical and checking the Luby's Early Bird special menu.
Per tradition, at the end of every podcast, I go to Luby's. I want bland, saltless food, please. That's how I recharge.
Hey, you be careful. I'm a Luby's fanatic over here, and their fish is delicious, okay? So you back off. I got to get there before 8 o'clock because that's when they close, though.
Yeah.
And I personally just love bland, saltless food. So, I mean, I'm there with you.
There was a brief moment where we thought Luby's, now a true real-life horror, was going to go bankrupt, but it got saved by another restaurant. So Luby's is safe.
Oh, there's a happy ending to this story. Thank you, John. I didn't know that.
Yeah. My wife was kind enough to tell me because she knows the interest I take in Luby's. That it was safe.
Show us that Luby's tattoo.
I love the fact that this podcast has descended into madness at this point. But no, John, to your point, yes. The thing is when people were hung back in the day by their necks from a noose, that killed them.
Right.
Like, you died from that. And like they do the same thing with their hands. It's like, I imagine you would have the same exact effect. I mean, being up there that long having a conversation, you got to sustain some major damage.
Totally agree.
Maybe he just has really, really, really soft, pillowy hands that really just kind of, embrace the neck, a little bit more than a coarse, dead zombie hand.
I mean, maybe.
Here's my plea. If we have any chiropractors who listen to us, please tweet, email, let me know. What do you think? What's your professional opinion on spine health after being lifted by your neck and then oftentimes flung via your neck? I need an expert's opinion to figure out, what happens to the human body. Tell me about my vertebrae.
I'm going to take it a step further, John. Even if you're not a chiropractor listening to this, get your insurance, book an appointment with a chiropractor, go in. When they ask you what you're there for, say, I have questions about vampire logistics. Ask them if holding someone up by the neck like that would basically cause any kind of sustainable damage. If so, what kind of damage? And if they could document that for us in some kind of, certified note, send that to us via email or the social media so we can verify this information. But yeah, spend your hard-earned money basically booking an appointment to find this out for us because, we're not going to do it ourselves. So, we make this podcast for you. You need to do something for us now.
I'm going to take that a step further and say enroll yourself into chiropractic school. Get yourself a degree, figure out what the answer is, and get back to us in 4 years plus. Make sure to keep that GPA up.
Whoa, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. So I support all of that, or lie. It's the internet. We don't know. So just tell us you're a chiropractor. But,
just make it up. Tell us what we want to hear.
Whatever you want to do, just get at us. We're desperate for attention.
One last power that I noticed that suburbanite Jerry Dandrige has is that he can super growl, yell, glowy breath at Charlie. Did you guys see that? Where he just yelled at him and Charlie lit up and blew back towards the window. And I was like, what has he got? Superman breath?
No idea what the fuck that was.
It's the power of gingivitis. That is what that was.
Listerine.
Yeah, suburbanite Jerry Dandrige does not floss. So
You call them suburbanite Jerry Dandrige.
I sure did. That's what I hear every time we say his name.
I just love how stupid that name is. Because I mean, the thing is that it's like Lestat, Armand, Vlad. You know, like all these. It's like Jerry Dandrige or Jerry Dandrige. Sorry, now I'm calling him Jerry Dandrige. Oh man, I love how dumb that name was.
Brood members Stephen and Henry would like to welcome Jerry to the Hillsdale chapter of Blood Guzzlers. We meet down at Sally's Pub every Tuesday for beer nuts and Bloody Marys, but here's the kicker, eh? It's real blood in them Bloody Marys, don't you know? Yeah, okay, now let's talk about Jerry Dandrige and his role in this movie. I think he's kind of a shit vampire, you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
There, I said it. I don't care who knows it.
Yeah, whatever. I'm putting it out there for the world to hear.
I'm going to say that we know that, and other vampires know that, because no vampire is going to suburban America by choice. Vampires are an urban creature if they can. I think, here's my backstory for Jerry. Other vampires banished him. They're like, Jerry, you're fucking it up. You're a shit vampire. You're ruining it for the rest of us. Go to suburbia. Go bother the norms out there.
Ooh, he was an Ed Evil character in his own friends. And they were like, he got turned into a vampire. And he was like, they're like, oh God, this guy, he's always saying the wrong thing, being awkward at these vampire events. They're like, you're out, dude. You got to go. And that's why he saw something in Ed and was like, you know what? I get where this kid's coming from. Do you want to be a vampire, bro?
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some headcanon.
We fixed it. We fixed the shit vampire. Okay, so do you think now? Let's headcanon some more Jerry backstory. Okay, how long do you think he's been a vampire, and do you think he assumed the name Jerry because he thought it was cool?
God, I hope not. I fucking hope not.
So, okay, he has been a vampire at least long enough so that he loves someone who he has a painting of. So that has got to be 19th century. So maybe let's say 100, 150 years. So he's not a new vampire, but you know, he's not one of the elder pyres.
Yeah, he's young money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's Nuevo Vampire. Now, as for the name Jerry, I believe when you become a vampire and, you know, let's say you're supposed to die, the vampire committee comes together and gives you a new identity, and they're like, all right, dude, you're definitely a Jerry. And they assigned him the name Jerry probably right before they kicked him out of the club to suburbia.
Maybe Jerry's a nickname that he was just desperately trying to get to stick, and he finally was like, I got to move away to get this name to take because no one's calling me Jerry in my old areas.
Oh, yeah, he's sick of being called Gerald.
Oh,
he's like, guys, I'm a Jerry, okay? Gerald is so played right now.
They're like, you're a Gerald and you know it. Sit down.
Yeah. Oh, here's what. After Gerald Ford, he's like, look, I gotta be a Jerry now. I don't want to be connected to Ford. So I'm tying it all together here. I think he did. I agree with you, Garrett. I believe he is trying to get out of Gerald and become Jerry.
Oh, man. Is that like getting out of Dodge?
Escaping Gerald.
I have a question that came up the other day, just like through normal talking with some people. When you become a vampire, do you stay the same exact? Now, I know Interview with the Vampire would have us believe that, you know, whenever you get turned, that's what you look like no matter what. But with like normal vampire lore, do you just look and stay exactly the same as you do when you're turned? So like if I'm, you know, rocking a 235 poundage, you know, and I become a vampire, and then I like start busting my ass at the gym, can I get down to like a felt like 170, or am I stuck at 235 forever?
I think that it really only depends. Like the age, your age is going to stay the same. Now, if you can get fat and skinny or buff or not, I think you can probably change that. Does that make sense?
Okay, if any of our listeners are out there are vampires and want to let us know, or want to go to vampire school and become vampires, that's one thing I was always curious about, because like I know like in some lore, like you look exactly how you look, and I know like with Interview with a Vampire, that little girl cuts her hair off and the hair grows back instantly because she's got to look that way forever. And I know that might just be like unique to that movie, but I was always curious about that. Is like, can you like get fat or slim down, you know, as a vampire? You know, do you have to be worried about your health as a vampire? I'm assuming you have to watch out for like blood-based, like, diseases and STDs and stuff like that, because I'm sure that would wreak havoc with your system if you were to ingest that kind of blood. But at the same time, does it?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like, is your body immune to that stuff at that point?
I think from what I, can know of vampires. Now, I'm not a vampire expert, but I think I'm, familiar with pyre lore. I believe you don't have to worry about blood-based diseases or anything like that because you're already dead. I also don't think you can get fat. I feel like you've never seen a fat vampire. How many humans do you have to kill to be a fat vampire? I don't think that's a possibility.
How many calories is in blood?
I want to see a fat vampire. That's what I'm saying. Like, where's my fat vampires at?
Yeah, really. Let's get some diversity in vampire body shape.
Exactly. Let's get some women, some men, all different ethnicities, genders, body types. Vampires are so exclusive.
Well, wasn't there a fat vampire in Blade?
Oh, I don't know. Was there?
I remember a very large creature. Man, I don't remember. I haven't seen Blade in 20 years, but I think there was a fat vampire in Blade, dude. I think.
Okay. All right.
The only thing I remember about Blade is the best Wesley Snipes line of all time. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
John, you are a national treasure, sir.
Thank you. That is the best thing that has came out of Blade, to be honest. So
a quick Google search reveals that there was a fat vampire named Pearl.
Okay. Interesting. Now let's talk about Fright Night because we still got to get through this. Charlie's seen Jerry do some vampire-esque shit, and he's like, more and more like, I've got to put a stop to this because I can't have a vampire next to me. So he goes to Evil, and he's like, hey, how do I fight vampires? How do I protect myself from a vampire? And Evil's like just kind of thinks he's a little nuts, but never second guesses it and gives him all the information he needs. Put garlic, have crosses. We cut back to the house, and now this is the part where he's like, okay, I'm going to do something about the guy next door. This is the time when the mother has invited Jerry in. So, because the thing is, Charlie thought he was safe in his house at least, but at this point, the mom has invited Jerry in and given him permission to come over whenever he wants. So now the vampire can come into the house whenever it damn well pleases. And so there's a whole interaction where, as you said earlier, the Jerry and Charlie have like a little bit of a confrontation. He's just like, you leave me the fuck alone or else I'm going to make your life a living goddamn hell. And, Charlie being the smart guy that he is like, nope, can't do it. Fuck you. He's decided he's got to take Jerry out.
Right. And Charlie stabs him in the hand with a pencil and he flips out and jumps out the window. And then and I actually really love that part because he called him on the phone and he's looking at him through the window. He got peeped on earlier. He's like, hey, Charlie, I broke your car. And you're fucking next, bro. And then Charlie freaks out. I was like, all right, that's pretty baller.
Yeah, I do like how much fun Jerry seems to have just fucking with Charlie. Just when that scene, when his mom invited him in, he just loved rubbing salt into the wounds, right? He's like, oh, I'm just going to drop by whenever I want now. It's like just really fucking with Charlie. I did appreciate that. Also, I did have a question about the pencil injury.
Me too.
Okay. Now, are we to believe that you can stake a vampire anywhere with any stake-based wood, stake-shaped wood, and it's a significant...
Number 2 only.
Yeah.
Number 2 lead only.
That's a significant concern because he got stabbed in the hand. That, now, my vampire biology, admittedly weak, but I don't believe the hand is near the heart. So... I'm wondering what happened there.
I'm no doctor, but that checks out.
But yeah, not only that though, if you get a splinter, is that going to fucking send your, your vampire power into feral mode and you get all crazy looking?
Tremendous question.
Because what Mark said earlier is when he looks normal, he looks like a normal human up until this point with a few little red flashes of the eye. You get a hint that he's vampire. But when he gets stabbed in the hand with the pencil, his hand becomes clawed and kind of monstery. And then you look at his face and it's kind of turning that way as well. So what I think it is when you turn into that monster form, it's like when you've got your adrenaline going. It's like when you got your vampire mojo kicking into turned up to 11. So I don't know they necessarily have to keep that form in check, transform into a normal looking person to keep it in check, or if it's just kind of when you're super vampire excited, you evolve to that next level.
Yeah.
Can we just all agree, though, like whenever he gets stabbed in the hand, he acts like a little bitch?
Oh.
It's like, dude, you're probably going to heal back up in a minute, bro. Calm down with the theatrics.
Major overreaction. He is just such a punk about it. I mean, and maybe it's because he's a super vampire and he hasn't been hurt in a long time and he forgot what pain is like. But to go back to Garrett's question about splinters, he lives in a house with a lot of wood. There's wood everywhere. If wood is so dangerous to him, perhaps he could reduce the amount of wood he surrounds himself with.
Great point. Great point, John.
A little more masonry, a little, brick and mortar. This guy's not thinking. Yeah, he moved into the creepiest wooded house. I think one of the cops even makes a comment, or no, Peter Vincent does when they roll up to do the trick later. He's like, I can see why you think that. His house is a fucking haunted house, basically.
I'm classic John style. I'm skipping ahead a bit, but my favorite part is when the house just suddenly gets foggy.
Oh God.
And it's like, how is nobody looking out a window right now? What the fuck is happening to this house? At the very least, people would be calling the fire department.
Well, that's not true, John, because most people in a neighborhood are not watching everyone else's house, except for Charlie, who is clearly just disturbed.
There was so much fog rolling off of that house, even if you accidentally, people 2 towns over would have seen it. Like, what is going on over there?
Oh, man. Yeah, no. So that's a great point, though. Like, he does get stabbed and he reacts as if, like, you would just shot his mother in front of him. It's like, dude, you're going to be fine. You've dealt with worse. But that just goes to say, like, could you just stab a vampire in the hand with 7 pencils at once and kill him? Is that enough stake to take him out? Or does it have to be to the heart, or can it be anywhere in the body? Because if that's the case, man, just stab him in the head with a stake and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
There's some problems that I'm going to bring up later with staking.
Okay.
It's not detrimental to the movie, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you follow the same logic here for one of these characters in particular. But yeah, I mean, suburbanite Jerry Dandrige manages to pull a stake out by himself and keep going about his business. So it's like, why the pencil? Did that really hurt you that bad, bro? I don't think so. I think you just wanted to ham it up.
Yeah. I'm going to swoop in here with some headcanon, and it was shock. I'm thinking he was shocked and honestly probably appalled that this happened to him, and he could not handle it, so he just bitched out about it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. For the sake of moving this podcast along, we'll say there was a valid reason for him reacting the way he did.
I would like to continue talking about this for at least 45 more minutes.
Me too.
We haven't even got to the mom's reaction. Her door is jammed. She hears all of this screaming. She's like, Charlie, my door won't open. She finally gets it open, and she's like, oh, a nightmare? All right, here's your Valium. I also had a nightmare. And totally not concerned with just the obvious lies and chaos that happened in her home.
Well, did you notice when Jerry pulled her, because he's creeping through their house, through Charlie and his mom's house. Mm-hmm. He leaves his mom's room. He pulls the door shut, and then he yanks it so tight that it splinters the door frame out at his face, and so he's jammed it shut. But I would have loved if, by the rationale of everything else in this movie, that when he pulls that door tight and the door frame splinters out, he kind of goes, he gets scared of it. that would have been so good. But he does pull that jammed, and then he has that whole interaction with Charlie, where basically he tells him, he's like, you can ignore this or you're going to die, straight up. And at this point, this is when he's like, okay, I've got to do something about it. He goes to meet Peter Vincent at this point, because he's like, who can help me? Peter Vincent. This guy's a vampire killer. Now, I've never looked at someone on TV and been like, that actor's legitimately what they portray. So
yeah,
it's a little bit of a leap for him to just kind of be like, this guy's legitimately a vampire killer.
Right. Charlie is an old teenager. He's 16, 17. He's old enough to know TV's fake. So I don't understand his thought process at being like, let me go find this imaginary character and ask them for help.
Wait, guys, are you telling me that Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a Terminator?
He might be, actually.
I hate to break this news to you, Mark.
I've lived my whole life in a lie.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Of course he's a Terminator, Mark. Everybody
Oh,
knows that.
thank you. Oh my God. My whole life was just flashing before my eyes. Thank you.
I know. We don't want that to happen.
He's definitely a Terminator. Nick Cage is definitely a Ghost Rider. You're safe, Mark. Don't worry about it. We're all good here.
The world's right again. Thank you.
But yeah, so he goes and talks to Peter Vincent, and Peter Vincent's like, "Oh, do you want an autograph?" And he's like, "No." And then I love the look on Peter Vincent's face where he goes, "Oh," like he's like, "I'm being bothered by this autograph." And the moment the guy's like, "No, I don't want your autograph," he's like kind of offended. But yeah, no, he tells him like, "Hey, my neighbor's a vampire. You know, we need to do something about this." And then Peter Vincent's like, "Kid, you're crazy. You need to go home and just chill out and let this go." So he goes home. He decided Sister's going to do it for himself. He goes home, and that's when Amy and Evil come over to the house because they haven't seen Peter in a little bit. Or I'm sorry, they haven't seen Charlie in a little bit. And inside his room, this was my favorite visual of the whole movie. They open his door, and from T to B, top to bottom, corner to under the bed, this room is covered in garlic, candles, crosses. I mean, he's like whittling steaks on his bed, and the decor of his room is like an old woman's bread and breakfast. It's so like out of place.
So somebody tell me why the candles? Why the fucking candle? Why 95 candles? Why not one candle? Like what? Candles don't do shit against vampires, or did I miss something?
It's for the atmosphere, Mark. If you're going to do something, do it right.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's excessive. That's a fire hazard. In these wooden houses, in this neighborhood built of matchsticks and like splinters, man, that house is going to go up.
Okay, if you actually watch that scene really closely, once Amy and Evil come in and they're like, she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Yeah," Evil's like, "Yeah, man, like, where you been? We've missed you." If you look at when Amy starts talking again, you'll notice that Evil looks down, yanks his arm a little bit to the side, and then changes position because he was too close to one of the candles and it was kind of burning him. Or he thought he was going to like catch on fire. Like if you look close, the actor actually goes, "Oh shit," and kind of backs away from one of the candles in the scene. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. There is too many candles in this room.
Maybe he was like, okay, I need light. And he thought that vampires were afraid of fire because he's confusing vampires and Frankenstein. Maybe that's what he's thinking. But yeah, I mean, the amount of candles there is a hazard, especially if he thought he was going to get into a physical confrontation, right? So now you got people getting thrown around the room, roughhousing, and candles getting knocked over left and right.
Oh, excellent point. Excellent point.
Yeah, he's only going to hurt himself.
There you go. Or his mom. I mean, the house may catch on fire and his mom may be locked in that room due to Jerry Dandrige.
Right.
Closing it shut. So he's not good at this, which is very obvious because Amy and Evil are like, "Oh my God, he's serious." And Evil's kind of on board for this.
Well, why don't you let us try again before you do anything?
There's not enough time, Amy.
Well, what happens if you go into that house alone and he gets you? Who's gonna stop him then?
Yeah, then he'll be able to suck his way through the entire town. Not that it would be much of a loss.
But then he tells them that they tried to get, they're like, "Well, what if we get, Peter Vincent's help?" And he's like, "I already tried. He wants nothing to do with it." And they're like, "Don't do anything until we go talk to Peter." So Amy and Evil go over to Peter's apartment. And this is where they kind of come in. They're like, "We got to talk to you." And he's like, "Do you want an autograph? Are you here for an interview?" And they're like, "Oh, no, our friend came to see you." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, that dude needs help." They're like, "Yeah, he's going to kill somebody. He's going to kill his neighbor because he really thinks he's a vampire. Can you come with us and prove to him that this dude's not a vampire so our friend doesn't commit fucking first-degree murder?" And he's like, "I don't know."
This is another scene where he's like, "All right, kids, you want an autograph?" And they're like, "What? No. This is way more important." And he goes, "What could be more important than my autograph?" And I laughed so hard at that. And then they were like, "Oh, it's a man's life." And he thinks about it and he goes, "Okay, yeah." I was like, Peter Vincent, you big egoed fool.
And I love how excited Ed is during this whole scene. Like, as Peter's talking and Amy and them are like discussing what's going on, Ed looks like a fucking kid in candy shop. Like, he's so excited to be there with this guy that he thinks is awesome. He's just happy to be part of the plan at this point. But he's like, "I can't do it." And she's like, "I've got money." And he's like, how much? And she's like, I got a $500 savings bond. He's like, done. Let's go. So
Yeah. Peter Vincent, super dick. How is he going to take $500 from a teenager? What is he doing with himself?
you got to know your value, John. You got to know your value.
I guess so.
They come with this elaborate plan to, and they actually call Jerry Dandrige, suburban vampire, and say, hey, this kid wants to kill you, but we're trying to prove that you're not really a vampire. Can we come over and do the following? And he's got these rules like no crosses, no holy water. And they're like, well, what if it's just regular tap water? You drink that and then we pretend it's holy water. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. The whole time munching his apple on the phone. So this is the plan. They go to get Charlie because they're going to prove that it's kid. Now, Charlie still doesn't believe this. And Peter's not there yet. He's like 5 minutes late. Charlie's freaking out. They all show up together. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when they go into the house and try to prove that Jerry's not a vampire. Because the way he comes down the stairs, it's like this like very it's so vampire. It's to your point. I don't know if it was John or Mark that was saying like this dude just loves fucking with Charlie. Like he loves it so much.
Yeah, it is one of the joys of his life or death, unlife right now, to fuck with Charlie.
Yeah, this is probably for me, this is the best scene in the movie. This is what made the movie a classic.
So Jerry comes down the stairs, all with his vampire swag. He sees Amy, falls head over heels for Amy. He saunters over, grabs her hand, gives her this really long, uncomfortable kiss on her hand, and then makes the joke about, isn't that what vampires are supposed to do? Then he shoots little finger guns. Okay, he doesn't do that, but it'd been great if he did. And so then Peter Vincent's like, all right, listen, dude, perfectly normal request. We just got to prove to this dude that you're not a vampire. Is that cool? And he is like, I brought this holy water. Dun, dun, dun. Can you drink it? And Jerry, suburban vampire, is like, naturally, I'll drink this random water. And everyone holds their breath. Nothing bad happens. He's like, see, I'm not a vampire. Charlie, of course, cannot handle this break with reality and is like, well, obviously, that's not holy water because he'd be dead because he's a vampire. And Peter Vincent is like, no, it's holy water. I saw Father McFlanagan bless it himself. And it was an obvious lie. It was tap water. So they're like, all right, Charlie, let's get out of here. He's not a vampire. Charlie's having a real hard time believing all this. And Peter pulls out like a blush, essentially, a little box with a mirror on it. I watched this movie twice and I still don't know, what was he doing? Why did he pull that out?
That's his powder case. He's putting on more of that white powder that he wears.
He needed to reapply his baby powder.
And he actually told Evil, when Evil was at his apartment, that it was a prop from one of his movies. Evil was really impressed when he picked it up.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why he used it though. Like that's a good point though. Like that was not part of his plan. He just did that just for kicks, I guess.
Yeah, the fake holy water was the big, trick. But I like the baby powder idea, so headcanon. He pulls out his baby powder case. He goes to reapply, his face powder, and he sees that Jerry does not have a reflection. This startles him, and he drops the case, and glass breaks everywhere. And Jerry's like, yo, are you okay over there? And he's like, oh, you know me, just clumsy with my baby powder case. He picks it up and then flees the house.
And then they get outside and he's all like, I gotta go. And they're like, what the hell's wrong? Dude, you saw something. He's like, nope, we're cool. And they're like, what did you see? And he's like, that dude had no reflection. And then drives the fuck off.
Like, good luck, kids.
Yeah. And then back inside, Jerry steps on the piece of glass that was left, the piece of mirror there. And he goes, oh shit. Peter knows. He doesn't like say it out loud, but he kind of like knows that Peter knows at this point. Now, this is the part that really fucking confused me. So we cut to the next scene of Evil Amy and Charlie walking through the inner city streets, alleyways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, doesn't Charlie live right next door to Jerry? Like, where are they now? But it's like a back alley set.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier when I was mentioning that apparently Amy bicycles across town through the cut to get to Charlie's house. Because they're like, Evil's like, I'm going home. And Charlie's like, no, you're not. We're walking Amy home first. And it's like, Where the fuck does Amy live? In the next district over?
Has to be. I imagine it's like suburban town, urban city, suburban town, and Amy lives in the other town. So you have to cross some really crappy city to get from where Jerry lives, where Charlie lives to where Amy lives. That's the only possible explanation, because they just walk one block and they are in a different movie.
Yeah. So, so they're in this, like, and that's when we talked about they're hearing some noise and Charlie's still not convinced. He's like, nope, y'all are wrong. That motherfucker's a vampire. So we get Ed playing a trick. They kind of split up for a minute because Ed's like, well, screw you guys. I'm going home. Like, I'm not putting up with this. He starts screaming. They come and he's like, oh my God, he got me. He got me. And Amy and Charlie are both like, holy shit. Like, like they instantly believe this. And he's like, got you, psych.
Well, Amy was actually enjoying the prank. She was laughing alongside Evil right in Charlie's face. And I was like, you literally just mothered this kid earlier thinking he was mentally damaged. And now you're laughing at this prank that this other kid did.
Look, it was a good ass joke. You got to get your chuckles in, man. I mean, she knows what's funny. But yeah, so at this point, this is where Evil gets cornered in the alley and gets turned into a vampire. He gets the option. Like, he kind of like, Jerry's like, yo, straight up, I get it. You're different. No one, you don't belong. But tell you what, you belong with us.
And suburbanite chili cook-off winner Jerry Dandrige is starting to get his fog play on that John mentioned about the house. Like, the whole alley just fills with this fog, and I'm like, okay, I guess we need to add that to the vampire power list. Apparently you can create and manipulate fog.
I think that's a real thing. I think that's actually like legit. I remember like other vampire movies like having fog powers.
One of the less pronounced powers, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, it's not quite that. He can't pull down the fog over an entire city.
The speech Jerry gives Evil ties back to I think very plausible idea that Jerry's the evil of his own group, because the speech that he gives him is basically, Evil, Edward, I'm you. I know what it's like to be made fun of. So join Team Jerry and we won't make fun of you. That's basically his pitch. And it's all Ed needs. He's like, fuck yeah, I'm on Team Jerry.
Okay, let me bring this up and present it to you, because I was reading something in Wikipedia that said that basically Jerry Dandrige and his manservant were homosexual. I don't know if you guys picked up on any of that, but apparently there's a scene where Billy Cole apparently goes down on Jerry from like a shot in the window. Like,
what?
That's what I read on the Wikipedia.
I don't remember that. I mean, at most, then Jerry would be bisexual because he loved...
Yeah, there you go.
Amy reminded him of a long-lost love that he's got a painting of. So he obviously loves women. So, he's a vampire. Maybe his sexuality's fluid. I'd buy that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember the scene that they're talking about, but, it doesn't seem impossible.
So do you think maybe this is some sort of analogy or something for acceptance of homosexuality? Do we think maybe Evil Ed is gay?
I think you can make this argument for any plot line that basically, causes someone who's felt like an outcast to finally accept who they are based off, the support of others. So I don't know if this is necessarily an allegory for that, but I could see how one could make that argument. But to John's point, we've got empirical evidence that basically shows that if anything at this point, he's just bisexual. Jerry Dandrige, bisexual vampire.
Bisexual suburban vampire.
Oh, there you go.
Let's not forget his most important trait.
Okay. Give him a nice pair of, khakis and a little, side grill. That's good.
That's fair.
At this point, Evil is gone. He's a vampire now.
So they're walking and they hear Evil scream again. And Charlie is like, all right, that's definitely a vampire scream. I know this. And Amy's like, oh, it could just be Evil fucking with us again. And then the power cuts. And Charlie's like, all right, smartass, is this just a power outage? And Amy's like, well, duh, what else is it? But then they see suburban bisexual vampire Jerry, and they panic. They start running. And to Mark's point about where are they right now, they apparently a block and a half from this quiet suburban neighborhood is some sort of industrial restaurant and club, which they sneak in through the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, they jump over like the prep table to get into this kitchen, which leads into, and it's a full kitchen. We're talking restaurant level kitchen. And then they run right into a dance club. And I was like, I don't know. I've been to some dance clubs in my day, but I've never known a dance club to have a full kitchen.
No.
You know, you can't go dancing and then enjoy a nice like order of chicken strips. You know, like it's like, this is not how it goes.
And it is packed. I mean, this is a balls to the wall filled nightclub in the middle of this town on like a Tuesday night. It is this, you know what? They should have filmed this in Applebee's. That would have been believable. All right. That's what people are doing on Tuesday nights in suburbia. They're not going to some synth club that has a full kitchen. That's just not a thing that's happening.
Well, that's just what you did in the 80s, dude. Remember Terminator? Terminator ends up in a nightclub too. I was literally thinking, like, how many movies ended up in the nightclub in the 80s? And what about recent horror movies? I don't think anyone goes to the club anymore.
But in Terminator, that was a plot point, though. They were supposed to go to the club, and Lyndall Hamilton's like, I don't feel like going out tonight and meeting dudes. I'm going to stay home. And then when shit pops off, she's like, I got to go to the club to find my friend because that's where she is. That made sense. In this place, it made no sense. I mean, but maybe this is why, you know, Jerry Dandrige, khaki-wearing suburban vampire, bisexual khaki-wearing suburban vampire, decides to move to this town because they've got everything. They've got Metropolitan. They've got suburbia. They've got dance clubs. They've got TV stations. I mean, they've got it all here.
Does it have a boardwalk?
Yes, they've got, and I mean, you know, all within like a 6-block radius of each other, evidently.
It's almost like this is a studio backlot.
It's almost.
I mean, I know, of course it's not, but it's almost like that.
So close.
This scene is intercut in between a scene where Ed goes to Peter Vincent's house and is like, you got to let me in. There's vampires out there. Peter Vincent, being the nice guy that he is, lets him in. And then Ed's like, haha, fooled you. Psych, I am a vampire. They have a nice little like conversation about the whole thing. And then Peter Vincent puts a cross to Evil's head and burns an X in his head. And this part was so crazy because Ed feels so powerful. He feels like he finally has control of his life and who he is. Like he knows what he's supposed to be doing. And it gets turned on him so quick because the moment he gets burned by that cross, he reverts to this kind of like weak, childish, like almost crying like persona. And he's like, I'm going to tell my master he's going to make you pay. And not in like this kind of like whiny little like wuss way, but almost just like he's like a child playing at being an adult. And I don't know. Again, that's why this character's so interesting and unique in this story is that like those kind of moments, you know, you really kind of understand and feel for Ed in this film. But, you know, as we said, this is intercut with a scene back at the club where Jerry Dandrige puts the glamourine on Amy and they have a whole dance number in this club.
Excuse me. Smarm charm.
Smarm charm. He puts the smarm charm on him and they have a whole little dance number while Charlie's calling Vincent Price to say, you know, dude, you got to help us out. Like he's coming after Amy. And so then he runs out. This point, the jig is up. What's so funny?
Well, dude, it's like he full on is doing a whole dance routine through like 8 or 9 songs. And Charlie is not even aware that his gal is out there like sexually dancing with this vampire guy. I mean, he goes in for some grabs. He gets really handsy with Amy, and Charlie is nowhere to be seen. Well, it's like, bro, what are you doing?
For whatever reason, Charlie gets on the phone and then faces a wall. Right. He's like, I don't need to see what's going on around me. So he turns around and looks at a wall, and then he has, to your point, Mark and Garrett, the longest phone conversation on earth. Hey, Peter, how's it going? Long time no see. You know, how's the family? It just goes on and on and on. What is he talking about? And
2 points to that. The first thing is right before he goes and makes this call, he tells Amy, don't worry, I've got you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I'm right here for you. And then, like you said, immediately turns his back to her and has the longest phone call. Now, I don't know if most of our listeners remember payphones, but some of us in this podcast are, you know, from the days of horse and buggy. And we remember payphones. You got maybe 2 minutes of talk time before you had to put more fucking quarters in. Like you could not have a 30-minute conversation on a payphone without having to pay the fuck up.
That's part of what took Charlie so long. He kept having to find quarters so that he could feed the phone. What I would have loved to see, what would have been a great scene, is if he had called like 1-800-COLLECT and then he tried to get his message in when they're like, okay, please say the name. He's like, hey, Peter, it's Charlie. Vampire's coming after us. Coming to your house. Click.
Yeah, that would have worked.
But you're right. So finally, Charlie wises up, and then like the bouncers start coming after Jerry Suburbanite, cleanest lawn in the HOA, Dandrige. Now, this is where I think he's such a bad vampire, because he spent the entire movie trying to hide the fact of what he is. He's out there murdering women, getting his blood drink on, and now all of a sudden he doesn't give a shit. He goes full red eye. He scratches the face and like snaps a dude's neck, and it's like, bro, there's 100 witnesses that can easily identify you, and you're done for. You blew it. Now you got to move into 2 blocks over or 2 districts over and change your name to Harold.
Jerry's not that smart. He would have just changed his name to Jerry with a G. Let's be honest here. But the bouncer behavior also doesn't make any sense. They're like, they come in, right? And they're like, all right, leave her alone. But Amy is like totally enamored. She has been, whatever Mark calls it, glamored.
Smarm charm.
Yeah. She doesn't act like she's not with Jerry, but they just are like, leave her alone. It comes out of nowhere. It's very weird. If anything, they should have attacked Charlie, who just runs onto the dance floor and gets his hand crushed because he's a punk.
Yeah, I mean, so at this point, it's all pandemonium. Like, people in the club are fleeing. I mean, there's no way of getting around that this is not a vampire. He's blown his cover completely, and he takes Amy.
Yeah, and of course, suburbanite Jerry Dandrige drives a Jeep. They drive away, and Evil's in the back going, ha ha ha, Charlie, fuck you.
So at this point, he goes home. He goes to Peter Vincent. He's like, we got to do something to save her, and he's like, nope, sorry, can't help you. I'm just a fake. This is not what I do. Deuces, get the fuck out of my apartment. So then at this point, like, I know that they call Peter Vincent's house, and he's all like, tell him to, you and Peter Vincent come over tonight and you can get Amy back. And this is kind of like where the big showdown is about to go down.
Peter, it's just us. We're going to have to save Amy.
I can't. I was paid to be there today.
I know. And you still want me to help you? Yes! You're Peter Vincent! The great vampire killer!
That is a character in a movie! That isn't even my real name. I'm terrified. I'm sorry, Charlie, but I am.
I can't do it alone, Peter. If you don't help, Amy is gonna die. Me too, probably. Please, Peter.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
And this was his character development, right? So he's in there telling Charlie, like, dude, I'm not this. I'm a coward. This isn't what I can do. So Charlie goes to that house by himself, and he's surprised when Peter Vincent shows up, and he's like, I'm here to help Charlie. I brought all the tools. I've got the crosses. We've got stakes. And then like Charlie all of a sudden is like, you don't have to do this, bro. And it's like, well, you were just begging him to. You should be happy he's here, but then like, you're right. He's like hyping himself up, and it's like, okay, this is where Peter Vincent is finally going to step up his game and try to be more than just a cowardly failed actor on television. And he's going to go do something.
Which was the weirdest pairing of like this old man who was a fraud who has decided he has to like step it up, and this like young teenager who just like, is lucky that he can tie his shoes every morning. And it's just like, oh, we got a real crack team here, don't we? I honestly expected them not to get her out. Like the first time I saw this movie, I was like, well, she's dead. I was like, this is not succeeding in any form or fashion.
Yeah, the more we talk about Charlie in depth, the less I like him and the more bumbling idiot he becomes.
Yeah, the only reason they win, spoiler, by the way, is because, to your point, Mark, as you've mentioned multiple times, Jerry is even more of a moron than the 2 morons who are fighting him.
I love the fact that this is like, this could be a Monty Python sketch at this point. It's just a bunch of idiots just barely making it through. They go inside. They're going to find Amy. They're going up the stairs. Jerry pops up and he's like, "Hi, do you like my suburban home? My chinos? Grab yourself a V8, you know?" And he holds up, Peter Vincent holds up the cross and he's like, "Oh, you dumb bastard. That only works if you have faith." And he's like, "Ah, shit." And so then Charlie holds one up, and I guess Charlie's religious and believes.
Yeah.
Because Charlie holds up a cross, and then Jerry's like, "Ah, shucks, the power of Christ compels me." And steps a couple steps back, and then out of nowhere, his faithful manservant, Tony or Billy or Chuck, I don't remember his name, walks up and just goes,
Billy Cole.
Yeah, Billy Cole just goes, bam, right hook.
Yeah.
Knocks fucking Charlie out cold off the steps onto the ground. I was like, well, his neck's broken.
Suburban boxer Billy Cole just comes out khakied up, hits him with that left hook, and that is the end of Charlie for life. No, somehow Charlie just bounces right back. But yeah, suburban boxer Billy Cole ruins Charlie, man, whose neck already fucked up from an earlier scene.
He just can't, his poor neck, man. He's gonna have like the worst troubles later on.
Yeah.
I'd like to just briefly discuss how Chris Sarandon is going to play Jerry Dandrige, suburban vampire, from here on out. And I don't particularly like it. He is so melodramatic whenever he's got the fangs and the red eyes, like almost to a point of, I think I'm watching Peter Vincent's performance. Like it's that ham-fisted to me, and I was just like, man, why do you got to ham it up that much?
He does go hard with it, yeah.
He does. So I'm gonna help you out, Mark. Here's some trademarked John headcanon. Maybe, as we've discussed, or Jerry, not popular with the vampire crowd, got banished to some half suburbia, has never seen how vampires interact with each other. So he only knows how to be a vampire from seeing other vampires on television. So he thinks this is how he's supposed to act.
Okay.
What if Jerry Dandrige, suburban vampire, was Peter Vincent's co-star back in the day, but actually got turned into a vampire and had to leave and go into exile because he knew that his partner would have to stake him, and he was like, I can't put Peter Vincent through that, so I'll just leave. And then he went out to try to be a vampire on his own, but he never found any other vampires, and he only knew what he saw from making the movies with Peter Vincent, and then in a fit of 100+ years of loneliness comes back to the place that he knows to be close to the one person he had a connection with, although there's a lot of angst and frustration, so he lashes out and picks on and becomes a bully for Charlie, who he sees a lot of himself in, and then still wants to connect though with Peter, just even being that close to him, and then full circle, Peter's got to get back involved. And I would have loved if there was an embrace and it was like, oh my God, it's you. And it's like, it's you. And then you know what? There you go.
But here's the problem. Peter Vincent's not that old, but I think you're right there. Now, suburban vampire Jerry hung out and knew Peter Vincent's grandfather before he was a Peter Vincent comes from a family of actors who played vampire slayers. Now, it was a TV show.
I love it.
But before he was in movies, it was like a circus thing.
He was a vaudevillian actor. He was a vampire killer in vaudeville.
Bam! And that's where he met suburban vampire Jerry. Love it. I'm with you. Better movie. Hollywood, get at us.
We are fixing scripts on this show.
He comes back to basically like whose Peter Vincent's career is now failed at this point. He comes back to this town to basically show that his partner's grandson, he's like, don't worry, I won't let this happen to your grandson. He goes to convince him that he should keep it up, or orchestrates this whole thing to motivate Peter Vincent to be the vampire killer that he always knew he could be. This is an oath that he pledged to his Peter Vincent's grandfather back before he got turned into a vampire.
Right.
Wow. I love it.
Also, Peter Vincent's grandfather also happens to be called Peter Vincent. It's a family name. Peter Vincent's actually Peter Vincent III.
Wow.
This is good stuff.
We are on this.
So back to your point, Mark. Yes, he totally hams it up as a vampire. He starts talking like this, like he becomes a What We Do in the Shadows character, basically.
In the meantime, before they showed up, Jerry had went ahead and vampirized Amy. She's over in the side room. She's busy changing. And I guess this is revealed to us in the last minute by Peter Vincent. He's like, well, if we get rid of Jerry, suburbanite vampire Dandrige, before the sun comes up, she'll get turned back to normal. And this is a thing I have a problem with because this all takes place in the titular Fright Night. It's all in one evening. Mm-hmm. There was another person that was turned tonight. His name is Evil Ed.
Thank you. That was I was like, nobody gives a fuck about Evil. They don't even try. For Amy, they're like, don't worry, Amy. We are going to save you. We're going to be so gentle. For poor Evil, they're like, stake that motherfucker on sight.
Well, I hate to bring this up right now because it might, upset you for what could have been. But according to IMDb trivia, in 2015, when asked if he could do a sequel to any of his movies, ignoring existing reboots, for a YouTube fan question video, writer-director Tom Holland replied that he'd like to do a follow-up to Fright Night utilizing the original cast. His proposed plot was that the single father Charlie Brewster inherits his mother's home, and soon after taking up residence, his two teenage children become convinced that there's something evil in the house next door, namely Evil Ed, who is squatting in the abandoned mansion attempting to resurrect Jerry Dandrige.
But that doesn't address the question of why would Amy get turned back, but Evil Ed is fucked. I feel bad for Ed. He can't make a break.
Well, because Ed gets staked. Okay, so yes, at this point, after Charlie gets knocked out, Peter Vincent like hauls ass. He's like, fuck it, screw this, I'm out. Okay, I can't do this. They take Charlie, they lock him in the same room as Amy, who he doesn't know has been turned just yet. Then we cut back outside to Peter Vincent, who runs next door to check on Charlie's mom and get her. And he goes inside and he's like, Mrs. Charlie, I don't remember her name. If you're not too high on Valium, wake up because I have to ask you a question. And so he runs upstairs, and then out of the covers pops up Evil Ed wearing a Raggedy Ann fucking hairpiece.
Loved it.
And I'm talking Raggedy Ann made of yarn hairpiece. He's like, Mommy's out right now, but she left a note. And God, I just love his performance so much. But anyway, him and Peter Vincent have a fight, and Peter Vincent ends up like down the end of the hall. Ed turns into a wolf and runs at Peter Vincent, tackles him, and then they fall through the banister on the edge of the stairs. And so Ed falls to the ground, but one of the posts from the stairwell impales through his chest / heart. And Peter Vincent gets up and he goes downstairs to see that Ed is transforming from the wolf back into human form and, kind of like dying. And the look on his face, God, this actor doesn't get enough credit because when you look at Ed dying, the look and the way he conveys it, you feel for him. Like, you legitimately are like, oh my God, damn, this dude didn't deserve any of this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I did feel for him for the first 27 minutes, but this death scene, it was like Tropic Thunder style death scene. It just goes on and on. Beyond, it takes it so far, it goes from empathy to comedy. They should have cut it a little bit.
It definitely is a little bit long, but they had all those effects. I'm sure they didn't want to waste any of them, but I agree. It does go on a little bit long. So this motivates Peter Vincent to be like, okay, shit. I don't know if he's like empowered because he killed Ed the vampire or if just he feels guilty about it, but he goes back next door.
I think it's important to note that he removes the stake on his way out.
Oh, did he? I don't remember that part. Shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's a borderline comedic scene because it's like this kind of medium shot, and Peter Vincent gets up and he like looks down at what he did, and then he just kind of with two hands takes the stake and walks out. It's a well done shot.
Yeah. And so he runs back next door. He's going to basically, try to save everybody. He goes inside. He sneaks inside upstairs where Charlie is locked in the room with Amy. At this point, he's like, Charlie, you're going to have to make some noise. I'm going to have to break the door down. So Charlie starts making some noise. And then the vampire downstairs, Jerry, hears it and he's like, oh, it seems like our friend Amy's waking up. And at this point, he knows she's been bit. Charlie knows she's been bit. So he's kind of like, fuck, we got to hurry. They've bit Amy. She's going to turn. And Peter's like, okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go downstairs. The sun's about to come up. We're going to fight these motherfuckers. We're going to save everybody. Still no mention of evil because, as you guys said, they're complete bastards. So this is where the final confrontation happens because they start to go downstairs to get Amy and everybody, out and stuff like that. And they run across his manservant, Billy Bragg or Billy Coltrane. What's his name? Billy
Cole.
Okay.
Billy Cole.
Okay. Billy Cole. And they shoot him. Peter shoots him straight up with a gun, which I'm like, if you've had this the whole time, dude, come on. And is this where we find out that Billy's a zombie?
Yeah, he. I guess Jerry Dandrige comes back in, and they keep doing this cross play. They keep showing these crosses to Jerry Dandrige, and he's like, "You got to have faith," which we already touched on. And that's when the manservant gets back up, and they put another like 5 rounds into the guy. And then it was the cross, wasn't it? He starts turning into goo.
Yeah.
The manservant.
Charlie runs up and stabs him in the chest with one of the crosses that he has, and then he starts like turning into this like melty goo monster skeleton thing. Looked awesome as hell though.
Amazing effect.
It was a great effect, but I don't know why he had to be staked to go down. I was like, okay, I guess that's just what we're doing.
Yeah. Pro tip: just stake everything. Ask questions later.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But when you're dealing with the undead, better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Now, because obviously traditional zombie rules didn't work, right? He did get shot right in the head. No effect.
Oh, that's a good point.
He laughed at your headshot. Yeah. So, they were out of ideas. Onto the cross.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting because I didn't even put that together. But yeah, that's the first shot. Gets shot in the head and he gets right back up. So evidently the power of Christ compelled him also to get fucked. So at this point,
Jerry Suburbanite Vampire is busy playing with his food or something. He's fucking around like he's floating outside the windows with green gases and lights. He's outside the house being a real jackhole, and I'm like, can you just fucking kill him, dude? What are you doing?
Yeah, I did. What was he doing out there? He's like on the roof. He's hanging onto the siding. He's basically doing anything and everything except killing the people he wants to kill. Jerry went for a walk in the middle of this fight for his life.
And we didn't mention, but he has like 75 clocks in his house, so clearly he's preoccupied with time. But right now, he doesn't care what fucking time it is.
Yeah.
He's a dumbass vampire. He's on the bottom of the list.
Jerry Dandrige learned how to be a vampire from watching old Jerry Lewis films. And just convinced that he was he's like, hey, I gotta go be a vampire. And it's like, oh God. Yeah, so at this point they realize, oh man, the sun is rising. And so he goes down to the basement to put himself into his coffin, and they go downstairs. They're like, all right, let's end this. It's go time.
Now, to Mark's point, what the fuck is Jerry Dandrige thinking? These people didn't just leave his house. He turns into a bat, flies into the main spot they're going to look for him, and falls asleep. And he's like...
Yeah, he goes, takes a nap.
Yeah, nothing bad is going to come out of this. What is he doing?
He's a creature of habit. What can you say?
It's inexplicable. He's like, the battle's over. It's time to lick my wounds in my coffin. It's like, no, bro. What are you thinking? Now you're at your most vulnerable. You're stuck in this room. You're stuck in the cellar where clearly they just put up drapes and spray painted the windows. And Amy comes down and she's doing her giant gaping mouth thing, which was weird, but I thought it looked really cool. Mm-hmm. Not sure why half vampire Amy would be able to morph her face like that. She tricks Charlie into dropping his cross that's been protecting him the whole time. I'm like, you dumbass fucking Charlie. What are you doing, man?
Dude, Charlie's so dumb. Dude,
it's a comedy of errors.
This movie is a race to the bottom of dumbness. He sees that she has this crazy vampire mouth and she is trying to kill him. She turns for once. You said you wouldn't let him get me, Charlie. And he's like, I guess she's cured now. Throws his fucking cross like halfway across the room. Not going to need this anymore. And goes to hug her. Like, Charlie, do you have a short-term memory problem? Do you not remember 15 seconds ago?
He's got memento disease.
He's got a cross. On the back of the cross is written "Point at vampires."
Right.
Originally, Finding Nemo was supposed to have Finding Charlie as the sequel.
Yeah, like that's what it feels like. So Jerry, who could have hidden anywhere in this blacked out basement, rushes to the most obvious defenseless place, right? Charlie, not to be undone, drops his only weapon.
That's because he's Jerry Dandrige, suburban master tactician, okay? He knows where to go at the worst possible time.
Oh, it's as if none of these people wanted to win. They all were just trying to lose on purpose.
Let's finish this movie. For as much as we're dogging it, I do really like it. Peter Vincent finds the coffin. I guess there's like a little hidden switch and it opens up and he's trying to break open the coffin. He's going to stake sleeping Jerry Dandrige. And Charlie says something like, Amy, and like wakes up the vampire. And now he's like, oh, we're fighting again. I didn't realize this would be the next logical conclusion to what was going on upstairs by my stained glass staircase.
Right. Jerry's like, y'all still here? I thought this was over.
So he's got Peter Vincent cornered. He's about to take him out. And they start busting out all the windows and the sunlight's coming in. So he gets pinned, kind of in an area where he's gotten stuck. And he lunges at Charlie, is it? Or is it Peter Vincent? I forget who's about to get his. They break open a window, the light comes in, and he bursts into green flame, and we see a really, really great effect. And we do need to point out that these effects are really well done. We see face-melting Jerry, and it's down to a bat vampire wolf skeleton thing pinned up against the wall, and it just explodes into a pile of bones. Which I thought was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the practical effects in this film are like top notch. I mean, the wolf effect. I mean, you name the monster effect in this film, and it is done at the top of its game for its time. And shit, even now to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. All the effects in this movie were on point.
But that so ends Suburbanite Jerry's membership in the HOA.
Oh, that's true. I wonder if he still had to pay his dues.
You got to pay up front.
Yeah, that's true. You pay for the year. He got 3 days of HOA dues worth of the year. So then it cuts to apparently a couple of nights later, and Peter Vincent's back on TV somehow. His show's uncanceled, and Charlie and Amy back to making out. And Peter Vincent's like, yo, shout out, this movie's for my boy Charlie. And Charlie turns off the TV and is like, it's time to make love. And goes to town, but he sees some red eyes in the window. But this is new Charlie, and new Charlie's like, that's probably unimportant, and goes about his life. And the movie ends, as Mark mentioned, with the best line in the movie, Evil Ed, who apparently survived, saying, "Oh, you're so cool, Brewster." Fade to black.
Yep, I love it. This movie is amazing.
Now, if we follow the logic that Amy was turned back after the death of Suburbanite Jerry, Evil should have also turned back.
Yes. Now, maybe, okay, you also need the power of love, and nobody loved poor Evil, so he stuck as a vampire, but since Charlie loved Amy, the power of love brought her back.
That's the power of love.
Care Bear style.
Huey Lewis in the News style.
Yes.
Are we positive that Evil got turned the same night as Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, all this shit is all the same night.
Okay, so once they're in the alleyway all the way, because like he goes and they turn Ed in the alleyway, and then they take Amy, but isn't the next day during the day they call, Charlie and say, bring Peter and you tonight to the house if you want Amy back?
I thought the same thing, dude, but I remember like watching it, and they even make a comment of like, it's literally when she got kidnapped and turned, that was right before or right after the alleyway scene, when Evil got cornered. It is all the same evening, even though like it feels like over half the movie takes place after that, right? But this is literally all one night.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I was like, man, maybe it is correct and we're just like misremembering like the time frame. But yeah, no, that makes no sense. But I'm glad Evil didn't die. Like I know it's totally movie like, like haha, but still I was like, that's pretty cool.
Well, I think it's a must watch. I would highly recommend this one to anybody who somehow has missed it over all these years. As far as vampires go, it is a lot of fun to watch, even with the ham-fisted Jerry Dandrige at the end. That brought it down a little bit for me, but I still would definitely recommend it.
I agree. As much, shit as I'm giving the movie, I actually really liked it. And you don't really notice a lot of this stuff when you're watching it. Now that I'm sitting back and tearing it apart for 2 hours, you pick up on these things. But it's actually a fun watch, and it's a pretty enjoyable little vampire movie.
But that's like my favorite kind. And I think that's why I love 80s horror so much, is that I can like watch these movies and shit all over them for their absurdity and then just have such a good time. Like, if you think about Night of Creeps, that movie's fucking like, the plot-wise, that movie is all over the place. There's character choices and lines that you're just like, what the fuck? But man, Night of the Creeps is fantastic. I mean, because there's just so much like insanity. They just committed so much to what they were doing that you just can't help but have like an amazing time with that film. And that's exactly what Fright Night is. I mean, there's a reason it's like rated so high and it's like considered such a classic.
Yeah. Now, has anybody watched Fright Night 2?
Yeah, negatory.
I didn't even know there was a Fright Night 2.
Fright Night 2 takes place a couple years later, where apparently Charlie Brewster has been going to psychiatric care and he no longer believes that Jerry Dandrige was a vampire, just a murderer who was pretending to be a vampire.
What? Really?
That's why I haven't seen it either, but I looked it up on Wikipedia and that is the plot line. And Peter Vincent, Roddy McDowall, does return in this one as well, and he loses his show again, and they're going to go through a whole new wave of vampires looking to get revenge for the death of Jerry.
I have a lot of questions that you probably don't have the answer to based on the Wikipedia blurb, but that plot seems insane.
Yeah, it came out in 1988 or 89. I'm definitely going to check it out, though I don't expect much from it. I don't really like it when they do that. And that was the same thing with, what was it, Hellraiser 2? Where they're like, oh, you're just crazy. None of that shit happened. And then here we are again, Charlie. Yeah. He wasn't a vampire, even though you saw him turn into a bat. You watched Peter Vincent stake him. You saw your girlfriend's mouth open wide. Like, that logic just doesn't add up for me.
That was a thing in the 80s, though. Right? Wasn't the sorority drill killer? What the hell is that movie called? Part 2? They were also...
Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Yeah, Slumber Party Massacre 2. They're like, yeah, that was all just in your head. Your sister's off in crazy camp now. That was rude. Not crazy camp. Mental hospital now. So, that seemed to be a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know. Like, I get what they were trying to do. Was Evil in part 2?
No, he didn't. He didn't go because he went to do 967 Evil.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually an interesting thing, too, because if he thinks he's crazy because Jerry wasn't really a vampire, wouldn't Amy be like, oh, yeah, no, straight up, I turned into a vampire. You saved me. Like, that dude was definitely a vampire. Like, why would she not be like, no, dude, that shit happened straight up?
Well, because Amy's not in this movie. She didn't return because she went to go do Married with Children. And I think that actually adds up logistically. Charlie was a shit boyfriend. He didn't pay her any mind. And then he fucked up and let her get captured in the club. You know, I would have broken up with Charlie, too.
Charlie, oh, look. I don't want to defend Charlie because he is bumbling when operating on all cylinders. But I don't think Charlie's fuck up was letting Amy get captured. I don't think he could have stopped that no matter which way he was facing. What his fuck up was making a promise that there was no physical way he could have kept. He really should have been like, babe, I hope you don't get caught by a vampire. I'm going to do my best to make that not happen. But also, it's kind of on you. You know, it's a team effort here.
I think we've had this conversation before when we talk about, like, I'll be right back. You know, like, don't make promises that you're not positive you can keep.
Yeah, that is his main flaw in the capturing of Amy. But I can see why Amy might hold it against him.
Yeah, we're over here fixing scripts. We're giving life advice to you listeners. You know, don't make promises you can't keep. Don't get involved with suburbanite vampires.
Go to a chiropractor and find out vampire information for us.
Yes.
Please. Yeah, I'll be anxiously awaiting your reports, listeners.
It's all pretty standard stuff, really. But listeners, have you seen Fright Night? You probably have. Let us know what you think about it in our social media. We got a Facebook, a Twitter, and an Instagram. You can find more of our stuff at thegravetalk.com. Drop us a hint. We love discussing things with you guys. You have any recommendations for films, let us know. Let's see. Do we know what's coming up next on our schedule?
So the next movie on our list, Mark, is Kuso, one of your choices.
Oh boy, get ready, fellas. This one is a fucking shit show, crazy balls film directed by some DJ. Garrett, it's a good thing you got your Shudder account fixed because it's on there.
Okay, nice.
I don't know if you're going to like it. I don't know if you're going to hate it, but it was so fucking weird that I had to talk to somebody about it and make somebody else watch it. So, listeners, get that one watched. And apologies up front. It's really gross. Don't watch it with your kids or your parents.
Okay, all right.
All right, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Not, we're good to go. Be safe out there, people. You know, keep doing what you're doing. Hang in there.
Okay, we'll see you next time.